Hi, how are you today? The improved package has arrived. We're having it fitted in time for FP1. Have a look at the factory report.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to my F1 2017 career mode, episode number 80 today for the finale of Season 4 at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And we come to this race, as I jokingly said last time out, with 2 new upgrades for the final race. We really have been pushing this car to the limits to try and win this Drivers' World Championship. And indeed, maybe, if fortune goes right, I think we still maybe can mathematically win the Constructors, I think. I haven't done the maths exactly, but I think we're still within a shout. But you can see here, a nice overview with the last episode here in Season 4, and you can see that entire R&D tree. We've really filled it out with the Red Bull team. We've done some real big work, and we've done a lot of minor upgrades, especially to the engine side and the chassis side, which Red Bull really didn't focus on. They've done a lot of work on aerodynamics and their reliability before I came to the team here. I'm really happy with overall our progress through this season in terms of what we've done with this team. And you've got to say, looking at the last few races, we pretty much turned it into a pretty damn beastly car. Obviously, we had a few off races, and I think last race was included in that for us with the reliability issues with the turbocharger. But all in all, the second half of the season, the car's kind of shown to be a very, very decent race car now, and is really starting to kind of, when it can, and it's kind of stronger circuits, really flexing its muscles, especially in qualifying at the hands of Daniel Ricciardo for sure. Compared to me as well, the last few, he's kind of been outclassing us. So we moved through into practice, although I'll be honest, I just did a couple of laps only to just kind of get used to the circuit once again. Obviously, there's no real point me spending the time doing all the resource points and practice programs if I'm to leave the team at the end of this season. So we move swiftly into qualifying 1 then. But if you have missed the last episode, guys, episode number 79, which set up this episode for the finale championship decided between myself and Kimi Räikkönen, be sure to go check that one out before you continue with this one. I think YouTube had a bit of an issue with sub boxes and notifications in general yesterday. In general, it just seemed very kind of odd looking back at like analytics and stuff like that. So if you have missed that, be sure to go check that one out before you continue on, as I said. So we're going to move on into Q1 right at the end of our flying lap, then coming across the line, and as per usual, it's not going to be too much of a difficulty. But interesting thing to note is once again Ricciardo then fastest in this session. So I don't know what's gone on with his AI. Maybe the patch that came in midway through the season, I think it was. I can't remember exactly what round it was, but maybe the patch bumped Ricciardo's AI up or something like that. But he's been really performing very rather well especially in the last 6 or so episodes in qualifying, especially. The race, some luck comes into it, and obviously reliability or kind of traffic with the AI will come into it. But generally, he's been really pulling his weight now in the team, which is kind of a shame, because if Ricciardo was performing like this for the entire season, I definitely think we would be on course to definitely win the Constructors' title this afternoon. But at the moment, as it is, I think Ferrari are about 35-ish points ahead of us or more. After obviously I had a pretty poor showing last race, that didn't help, and with obviously both Ferrari cars finishing quite high up in the standings around Brazil. So we've got our work cut out for the Constructors, but obviously, as I said, I'm not really ever too fussed about the Constructors. I'm more just focused on myself. I'm not going to be too disheartened if Ferrari win the Constructors again. I mean, on paper, they have the fastest car the entire season, the last 3 seasons, really, if you think about it. So it's really kind of on them if they lose the Constructors today. But meanwhile, we are focused on the Drivers' Championship then, and trying to do the best job we can in Q3 to get us the order. You would imagine Räikkönen will be going well around this circuit. So at the moment, we go into our second flying lap then. That first one gets us up into P5, Ricciardo in P4. So at the moment, looks like maybe one of the Mercs and the 2 Ferrari cars have turned out the wick. As we come across the line, you can see minimal kind of improvement there, literally hundredths of a tenth improved on that second flying lap. So in the end, it won't matter too much. We do finish up in P5, Ricciardo P4 still, and it's going to be Kimi Räikkönen on pole position. So our title rival on pole and in the best place there can be in the house for the next day for Abu Dhabi's Grand Prix. But Hamilton second and Vettel in third. You never know, they could do something and get a spanner in the mix. And of course, I think in general, as I was mentioning at the end of last episode, our pace around Abu Dhabi, ignoring season 1, which was quite a tricky one in the Toro Rosso, I think we've been pretty well at Abu Dhabi, and definitely for the last 2 seasons now, the cars felt pretty damn good. And around qualifying, the car, although we only got P5, felt pretty damn planted. So I'm confident that we can do something well on this strategy. I think we're probably going to lean more towards that 2-stop, but as we've done many times in the past, let's just play it by the ear and see what Räikkönen does. If there's opportunity to cover him off, basically, then we will, because, as I've said before, just playing it kind of like Alain Prost, doing the least I need to do to win the championship. So that's my mentality overall, but you guys know me, in the opening few laps, I'll be gunning for it to try and see how far up the grid we can get. And so let's go to the full grid sequence then, and then get on to this final race of Season 4.
Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Kimi Raikkonen's perfect lap yesterday sees him start from pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Ricciardo and a Red Bull, Valtteri Bottas and Hülkenberg, Perez, Vettel, Grosjean and Felipe Massa, Sainz, Palmer, Esteban Ocon and Kvyat, Magnussen, Alonso, Lance Stroll and Pascal Wehrlein. Van Dorn and Marcus Ericsson rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
So one last little crumb of good luck then for our Red Bull this season. Sebastian Vettel's got a grid penalty, so we move up to P4, Ricciardo P3, and so it's an all Red Bull second row, and we will be able to see Kimi Raikkonen directly ahead of us, to the right of us, as we're on the left-hand side of the grid. But you can see the race strategy then, qualifying on the ultra soft tyres in Q2 does still leave us open to the one stop then on the soft tyres, but you can see the two stop is only just two-ish kind of seconds slower than that one stop, and the theory is maybe if you go fast enough on the super soft tyres, especially towards the end on lower fuel, that probably could end up being the fastest strategy. So I think I'm going to be leaning more towards the two-stop, but we'll see what Raikkonen does, and if there's opportunity to cover him off, as I said, we will do. But here we go then to the final race of Season 4, round number 20 at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the championship decider. Fire lights are out, and we're underway here, and is it going to be myself or Kimi Raikkonen who is at the top of the Drivers' World Championship? Into turn 1, then Hamilton leads the way. It's been a poor start from Kimi Raikkonen. It's a good start for us, up into P3. Ricciardo has to go side by side with one of the Renault cars and tries to fend off for P4, but it's Hamilton that's leading the way, and that's good for us, because if Raikkonen was to win this race and I was to come second, that wouldn't be good enough for us. That would be 7 points that Raikkonen would be getting, and that would be more points than I have to him at the moment in the Drivers' World Championship. If he finishes like this in second and I'm third, that's fine by me. So good stuff for us to see Hamilton in first place then, but we're going to immediately try and overtake Raikkonen if we can, as we move on to the back straight of lap 1 in the slipstream, as Raikkonen sparks away with a bit of a lower right eye than he probably wants, maybe on higher fuel. We go neck and neck into the S section. We're going to have to back off though, as Raikkonen has the tighter line, and he was always going to probably squeeze us out. So a bit of oversteer, kicker oversteer on the exit then. Obviously heavy fuel in that section is very, very tricky, very treacherous, especially obviously with the curbings around Abu Dhabi in all the F1 games in the past as well. It's been a pretty nasty circuit to drive and navigate on heavy fuel, but we'll try and manage the best we can. Now we move on to lap 2 though, and Raikkonen is going for the lead this Grand Prix. Hamilton though doing me a favour, defending very well indeed and very aggressively to push Raikkonen wide, and that allowed us to maybe nip it to the inside. We put our nose in there, but not going to work. But as we swing through now, the double right-hander flat out right up his gearbox in a place where, remember, I crashed with Raikkonen, I think it was, last season in the finale. Then I go down the inside of him. We're going to try and feed it to the outside of this next double left-hander under the hotel section, and that's a very unorthodox place to make the move, but we're going to try and make it stick then as we go into the second last corner and then through the last corner, and nothing is separating myself and Kimi at the moment, as we have to brake a little bit later to try and stick with him through the final corner. But he goes wide, and Ricciardo now is right up his gearbox. He'll go to the inside then to maybe make it momentarily 3 wide as we enter the brake zone. Then we get ahead of both of them, and we're going to get up into P2. And on the exit, you can see looking behind me, Ricciardo is up into 3rd place, and hopefully looking in the mirrors, can he squeeze him out? I think he has done, and so that's Ricciardo up into P3. So excellent work there all round. And now we go after Lewis Hamilton. Obviously, I'm already ahead of Raikkonen. This position would be good enough, but as I said, you guys know me, I'll try and fight as hard as I can till the last effort if it's possible. And so we're chasing after Hamilton, setting a fast lap of the Grand Prix. We do have the pace to try and win this Grand Prix at the moment, so let's go for it. As now we close up to Hamilton at the end of Sector 1, sliding into that chicane. Very easy to go a bit too deep and wide into the first part and compromise the second part. You kind of need to compromise your own line for the first part to open up the second one. As we now move through the hairpin onto the back straight then, as the sun gets in our eyes on the left hand side, the glare, I'm never a fan of glare around the race circuit, but we move through in a straight line then. Pretty easy move actually, with Rich Mix and DRS open to get into the lead of this Grand Prix, and Ricciardo there in the background still P3, so that's good to see. And he's actually closing up to Hamilton now through that chicane, so that's good, and maybe he may be able to make it a 1-2 for a Red Bull. Let's see as we move on to the next lap then. Here he comes now. He'll have DRS, and I would imagine he'll be in Rich Mix as well, but you can see we're already building a pretty healthy gap at the moment as we go down that main straight. But here comes Ricciardo then. He's going to go to the outside as Hamilton goes defensive to the inside then. So Ricciardo, the long long way round, and there's a bit of tyre contact there, but Ricciardo will have the better line to the inside, although he hops the curb somewhat, and so that'll still mean they're side by side on the exit then, and maybe this is where the Mercedes engine will come into play, or even the Ferrari engine, as Raikkonen is maybe going to go down the inside of both of those guys to make it a double overtake to get into P2. He makes some contact with Hamilton there, as there was a bit of a smoke coming off his car, but you can see the huge gap we've got. These guys fighting is excellent for us, as Ricciardo is still trying his best to hold on to P2. Doesn't work out, and in the end, it's actually a great overtake sequence for Raikkonen to gain 2 positions overall within half a lap there from P4 to P2 then, and Ricciardo stays in what was a net P3 then, and Hamilton loses out by 2 places. He's down to P4, so momentarily it looked like it may have been a really nice 1-2 for Red Bull. Not to be at the moment, but we just concentrate on building the gap to Raikkonen, and equally so, Raikkonen builds the gap to Ricciardo. Obviously, myself and Raikkonen are the only guys in the top 4 on ultra-soft tyres. Both Hamilton, Ricciardo, and I think even the Renault behind them of Hülkenberg or Palmer are all on super soft tyres, so kind of showing the pace difference between the ultras and the super softs. Myself and Raikkonen equally, respectively, building the gaps to the guys behind us, but then you can see it's not going to help either person of Hamilton and Ricciardo as they go side by side, and they're still squabbling, and that's just going to slow them both down to try and catch Raikkonen. Of course, by the time we get to about, lap 8-ish, lap 7-ish, these ultra softs are going to start going off a little bit, and then these super softs will potentially be much faster than our ultra softs, and these guys aren't doing themselves any favours, and they're going side by side still through this entire sequence of the corner. It's absolutely amazing to witness. Ricciardo and Hamilton, and Ricciardo looks to keep it just about for P3 still, and I'm not too sure really, honestly, how Hamilton's unable to overtake him in a straight line there, but just showcasing over the course of Season 4 how much Mercedes have really dropped off. They're pretty much are thereabouts the 4th best team, because Renault have been far more consistent. Of course, Renault are ahead in the Constructors' title in 3rd place, and Mercedes are down in 4th, which is not something I ever thought I'd be saying anytime soon, but then again, I never thought I'd be saying the likes of Jolyon Palmer overtaking Mercedes cars from last episode and whatnot. So we move into our pit stop then, and we are going to cover off Kimi Raikkonen. I didn't actually intentionally cover off Raikkonen. I wanted to come in this lap because I could see the pace dropping off a tad. The delta time on that last lap time wasn't amazing, but it just so happens that Raikkonen probably thought the same thing. So unintentionally, I cover off Raikkonen, so that's exactly what we wanted to do. But you can see I'm on this set of super soft tyres, and you may have seen there, I don't know if you can see just about there, you can't really see it, but Raikkonen is on soft tyres then. You can't even see it on the top left yet because Stroll's in between myself and Raikkonen, but he definitely is on the soft tyres. So Raikkonen is going to try that audacious 1-stop ultras to soft tyres, where I'm definitely going for the 2-stop then. So needing to get a move on then, Magnussen kind of helps that fight as he double lock-ups and kind of makes my time easier then on lap 9. We're up into P9 then as well, and we're going to chase after then Danke Fiat, and basically it's just a case of trying to dispatch these cars as fast as we can, not losing too much time. Of course, we need to now build the gap to Raikkonen, because although yes, he is on the soft tyres, I still need to get a considerable gap to obviously kind of outweigh the pit stop time, although I am counting on the fact I will be a lot faster than him at the very end of this race on low fuel, but I just can't take that risk of not trying to concentrate on building the gap right now. And so you see we cross the line on lap 11, setting another fast lap of the Grand Prix, down the inside now of the rush and going very, very hastily into turn 1 then. I could have been a bit more patient, but I just want to get it over and done with, and so thankfully Kvyat went a little bit wide into his entrance turn 1. We're up into P4 then as we move on to the end of lap 11 on towards lap 12. We've got one car in the pit lane there of Valtteri Bottas, it looks like, on the top left, so we're going to be up into P3 then. The next car on will be Carlos Sainz, the second Toro Rosso. So I kind of found this kind of odd. Whilst I was racing, I was sort of thinking about this. We set another fast up the Grand Prix, but it's kind of nice in a way, 4 seasons later, I'm in this Red Bull car fighting for the World Championship, and I'm looking to overtake my former teammate Carlos Sainz from Season 1. It seems like ages ago now. It was only, 2 months ago, back in August, that we were doing Season 1 this career mode, but it just seems like ages away. It was kind of nice to me just, racing him and, trying to catch up to him to overtake him. As we did pass him, it was almost kind of a nice memento almost that I was passing him, from the, it gave me good vibes, good memories. That's what I'm trying to say. As we move on down up into P1 then on lap 13. So we're in the lead of this Grand Prix again, and now it's all about just trying to control this race and ultimately trying to spread the gap to Raikkonen. Then he's in P3, now in P2 as he's overtaken Sainz, and Sainz has come in as we move on to lap 15, but setting another fastest lap of the Grand Prix. So we are really going at it like an absolute stabbed rat at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. We want this. I want this. I want to try and finish off this season in style. If we can win this championship with a win, that would be absolutely fabulous. So we're going to try and as hard as we can to do that. And I think the gap's around 8.7 at the moment, so we're doing a pretty good job. And we're going to probably come into our pit stops then at the end of this lap, then lap 17 with 11 laps to go in this Grand Prix. Probably about correct there. But now we get yellow flags, and it's a full course yellow because the full safety car is called out. So we're straight into lead mixture, and it's been called out due to this reason. Felipe Massa struggling in this Grand Prix already initially before this incident, but into this same corner that Magnussen locked up, he completely goes off. And I think that's exactly the same way we got a safety car last season with our now teammate Ricciardo. If I remember correctly, back to episode 60, I think Ricciardo went off there as well and called the full safety car out in season 3, but that's worked in our favour indefinitely because as I said, I was going to come in this lap anyway, as I pretty much split half and half for the super soft stints, and you know, going 10 laps in the super softs would have been perfect. But now that safety car has been called out, that effectively gives us a free pit stop, as obviously, yes, I'll go behind Raikkonen now, and actually I'll be behind Hamilton as well, but I'll be bunched up to them. I won't be an entire pit stop behind them, minus the 8 seconds I had on Raikkonen. I'll be right there, literally just 2 car spaces behind him, so that's going to be brilliant for us. And it's allowed us then, as you can clearly see, to strap on the purple ultra soft tyres. So we're only going to have 8 laps left to the end of this Grand Prix because we move on to lap 20, and only now is the safety car coming in. So 8 laps to the end of this Grand Prix on ultra softs, that is completely doable. We've saved up so much fuel, so now it's just about enjoying the rest of this race, pushing flat out. Let's go get that race win. We can see 2 guys ahead of us, Hamilton and Raikkonen, and they're there for the taking. Both of them on old soft tyres. My teammate Ricciardo is not going to hamper us. He's on old soft tyres behind me as well. So we're the only man who really made a pit stop in that top flight, apart from Nico Hülkenberg, I think that was, in the Renault. So let's just go out and push flat out. So through the first few corners already, closing up to Hamilton, feeling the extra grip compared to him. And you can just kind of see my tyres have switched on a little bit faster. Although I actually initially got jumped by Hamilton and Raikkonen, I was kind of caught napping a little bit into the restart. Now you can see going down the inside very easily of the hairpin. A little bit of a lock-up on the left front tyre, but we do get this. And on the exit, out-tractioning Hamilton there. Rich mix flowing completely. We've got plenty of rich mix to pretty much go rich mix to the end of this race, I think. And we're up into P2 now on lap 21. So it's now just me and Raikkonen, the 2 guys in 1 and 2 in the Drivers' World Championship, 1 and 2 in this race. At the moment, Raikkonen would be winning the championship, but we're setting the fast lap of the Grand Prix on lap 22, and we are determined to swap that round and take the lead of this race and take back the lead of the Drivers' World Championship in the live standings there, if we were to peer to the live standings. And we move now patiently onto that next main straight end on the same lap, lap 22. Here we go. We've got DRS wide open. You can see in the mirrors, Rich Mix flowing, and we're right up his gearbox. We're going to pull to the left-hand side to go down the inside there. A little bit of an early brake, as I wasn't too sure how the braking was going to go. It's very easy to lock up then in that situation. And to be fair to Raikkonen, he probably chose the better line then through that second part of the chicane to be to the inside, although it did allow me to straighten up the car a lot faster. And so now we pull to the right-hand side, again to the outside for the next corner, but I'll turn to the inside for the next right-hander. And so can we feed this round? It's going to be close. I'll give Raikkonen all the room he needs, and he's going to shoot it wide. And so we'll do this switchback move on him to take the lead of the Grand Prix. And so in the end, it was very good for us to be patient there on the right-hander. Gave him the room there, and he just overshot himself. And we're up into the lead of this Grand Prix. So now with 6 laps to go, it's just about pushing as hard as we can to try and pull this gap. And that's exactly what we're going to do as we move on to the end of lap 23. We've had Rich Mix on the entire lap. We've been pushing like an absolute monster, and we've set another fast lap of the Grand Prix. I have thoroughly enjoy this final race for Red Bull and this final race in Season 4. It's been so fun just to push flat out and have the car respond to me. And, you know, the setup for me this weekend was being perfect in terms of I actually felt like I had the pace, unlike what was at Brazil or, you know, a few races back at Mexico and places like that. Meanwhile, though, for the other Red Bull, our teammate Daniel Ricciardo, he's fending off the 2 Renault cars. Now, this, I don't know, I'm not too sure about how the points work out there. I still can't remember what the points were going into this race with the constructors, but at the moment, Ricciardo trying to do his best to score as many points as he can for the team, but Palmer is round the outside then. So once again, Julian Palmer is actually performing a little bit better than Nico Hülkenberg. Hülkenberg may have the one-off race wins for Renault only this season, but Palmer has actually probably been a lot more consistent this entire season for the Renault team. So he tried to overtake Ricciardo. I think Ricciardo's going to keep P4 then, though, thankfully, just for his sake, just to save some face. But it doesn't matter. None of that matters, because we're going to come through then the final 2 corners then, swing round. We're going to weave through, be arrogant about it, because we're going to win the final race of this season, and that is going to be to take our 2nd World Drivers' Championship. We are a double world champion in F1 2017 career mode.
There were questions at the start of the season as to whether this package could really go all the way. But there's no question anymore. What a special year it's been. And here they are now, the new Formula One World Drivers' Champion.
So there you have it. We win our second World Drivers' Championship in this F1 2017 career mode. Our one and only one for Red Bull Racing. And we've done it in style by winning the final race of the season at Abu Dhabi. That's a really great way to end it off. We get the animation for winning the race. So we get to view our character once more. And that really, that helmet that I've loved, I've really grown to love. I made that helmet especially for Season 4 coming to Red Bull. And I've really enjoyed it. It's been a nice colourful change, you know, for a difference compared to my usual helmets that I've ran for the last 3 seasons. So guys, smash that like button for the second World Championship and winning this final round. Be absolutely awesome. We're going to try and aim for over 3,000 likes for the second title wrapped up here in complete style. But as we spray the champagne then, it's going to be still some champagne to spray for Ferrari, I guess, because they do win another Constructors title. We do not win the Constructors. We didn't have enough today. I said it was a long shot a few episodes ago. It definitely was. And still on paper, I'm still maintaining that Ferrari car is still the best car. Raikkonen and Vettel just have been so unlucky in the last few seasons. They've not taken it to the full max potential that car has. It should be pretty much a boring season every single time. That Ferrari car is pretty much the equivalent of a 2014 Mercedes car, but, you know, with all the engine failures and whatnot and the bad luck, it's been a very interesting championship. And you can see there, Renault in 3rd place. So my old team, you know, a few of you guys were, you know, skeptical of I've just kind of left them to kind of, you know, rot. I mean, they're still there in 3rd. I mean, I did make that car a pretty damn good car. They won a few races this season, and now they're ahead of Mercedes AMG, which you never thought would be the case. So I'm still kind of happy for my former team to be in 3rd place there. And for Mercedes, though, pretty piss poor season, you got to say, for them in 4th place. From, you know, what they should have been on paper was still the 2nd fastest team until we overtook them in the R&D race. So yeah, all in all, a very mixed up season, really. And with 4 constructors there or thereabouts fighting for race wins all through the season, apart from maybe the last few rounds has just been Red Bull and Ferrari. Yeah, really enjoyable Season 4 career mode then for F1 2017. But now we move on then to the crucial final stages of the episode then of a season finale. The switching team. What team am I going to go for? What team have I even been offered? So you can see here, I've been offered the drive, the second driver drive for all 3 of these options. The Mercedes team, Williams, or Force India. So I'm yet to make a decision. I will make a decision eventually, and then we will kick off Season 5. But I will not be staying with Red Bull. As I said from the very start, on episode 61, I have no interest in staying at a team like Red Bull for more than 1 season. I've come in, I've got what I wanted, which was the World Drivers' Championship. I've done the business, I've done what I want to do. I've said I don't really care about the constructors ever, to be honest. So as far as I'm concerned, I've done the most I can with this team. So it's time to move on. Fresh colours and just a fresh scenery and a fresh challenge. So we'll see you guys next time then for the next one, and we'll kick off Season 5, and I'll leave you till then to know what team I'm going to pick. But once again, hit that like button if you have enjoyed this one and the entirety of Season 4, guys. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I've been aarava. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.